I don't want to brag, but I'm sort of an expert in the haunted space.
The best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of ideas. So every week, authors Clayton, Smith, and Benjamin Wallace sit down with a bit of inspiration and try to see if there's a story there. At the end, you decide. Is it a good story, or is it just another of a billion bad ideas? Clayton, I saw something the other day that I think could lead to a good idea. It can definitely lead to a bad idea, but it might lead to a good idea. So basically, haunted Airbnbs. They have to exist, right?
Okay, questions right off the bat, because I don't want to brag, but I'm sort of an expert in the haunted space. So my first question is, haunted Airbnbs, by that, do you mean people who are promoting their Airbnbs as a haunted experience for people who like that sort of thing? Or Airbnbs where people are like, this is definitely not haunted, but it turns out it is?
I think the way I saw it was, yes, marketing them as haunted. Is there a corner of the market that is like, hey, stay in a haunted cottage? It's a cottage industry. It's a haunted cottage industry, right?
I will tell you, just again, I do the podcast, Is This a Ghost? And I spend a lot of time on the weird parts of the internet where people share ghost stories. I will tell you, absolutely, like that's a niche. Like, okay, you can make $1 billion doing like, this is come stay here. It is haunted. You will to the point where I think it's actually potentially a very good business strategy to have a place that's not haunted and convince people that it is haunted, and they will Airbnb it to death, and you will become, I don't know, you'll retire in 4 years.
This sounds like a very good idea then right off the bat. So it does exist. I think the story would be, I'd be more interested. I guess the story could be someone that ends up in a haunted Airbnb or somebody that's running a haunted Airbnb. And from my perspective, I think the more interesting story is the person that runs the business.
Okay.
Right. So if it's like, the couple of angles I'm seeing is like, if it's not legitimately haunted, how do you convince people it is haunted? What are you doing? What kind of strain on your time is that to pull off the haunting? If it is actually haunted, do you have a relationship with the ghost? Or you just kind of, or do you feel conflicted that you're taking advantage of a spirit? A lot of moral questions in that.
That's true. Can I throw a third option out there?
Yeah, please do.
What if it's a situation where you're like, you are selling it as a haunted location, but it's not. But then after you do that, you realize, oh, it is haunted, and I am not prepared to deal with this. So you're the owner, and you're like, you're a shyster, and you've like set it up to be like, yeah, everyone's going to think this is haunted. And then it turns out like someone actually sees a ghost, and then you see the ghost and other people see the ghost, and you're like, oh no, this is a haunted house. I don't like this. What do I do? That's also a way we could go.
I like it. I think that what kind of, this could easily be a horror. There's a lot of genres this could touch on. What do you see?
I think it depends. I think if we're going to go like comedy, it's going to be like, oh, whoops, it is haunted. Horror is going to be either the ones you mentioned, I think would work for horror. Either it's accidentally haunted, like it's not haunted. Like we're pretending that it is haunted, and we will go to such extremes that we are the monsters, which I think is a really good horror angle, which is like the worst in the best horror. The worst things are not the monsters. The worst things are people who are monsters.
So here's something I'm thinking, because we've talked before, because as you mentioned, you are the host of Is This a Ghost? And you know a lot more about ghosts than I do, but we've talked about ghost and ghost powers and ghost power potency before. So ghosts, from what you've told me, if you can give us a quick summary, ghosts age, right? There's a theory that ghosts age, mature, and then vanish again?
There is, I use this term loosely. There is a study, and so I, take it for what it's worth. There is an idea based on, again, research. That a ghost can survive for about 100 years. Now, it's also true that a ghost is not as powerful when it first becomes a ghost. Again, according to what I will say is research. And so if those things are true, you've got this window for a ghost where when it becomes a ghost immediately, like post human death, if that's when ghost starts, it takes some time to like get stronger and stronger and stronger to the point where if I think actually it's funny, the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze has done a really good job of kind of priming us for this, which is it takes him some time to learn how to flick a bottle cap, right? Because he has to get stronger. And so it does take time, and then you become a powerful ghost. But then as you reach about the centennial mark, you start to fade away into nothingness. And if that is true, and I'm not saying it's true, but if it is true, I would say from time you die and become a ghost to the time your ghost ship is over, I would think years 15 to maybe 75 or 80 are the powerful years. You've got like 50-ish years there of real power. And
I would think if you were running a haunted Airbnb, you'd want a very mature ghost. You don't want cold spots and legless children running around. You want some poltergeist, yes. It's going to really fuck with you. Stuff. They're slamming doors. They're making toast at midnight. I mean, I don't know.
Yep. Sure. You want full body apparitions. That's an advanced thing. Yeah. But also like there's a sweet spot because you do that and maybe your business is fine for 30 years and maybe that's all you want. But if you're going to build like a long standing business, it's hard to know, like, when do we start? When do we, because this ghost is going to only be around for, 100 or 75 or 30 more years. And also that brings into the conversation this question of like, should we create more ghosts?
Right. Well, and that's what I think that might be an interesting angle for the story, and is why I was asking, like, maybe this person's been running, like you say, they're making bucks. They are just renting out this cabin in the woods that's haunted for years and years and years. They're making absolute bank. And all of a sudden the ghost tells them, well, that's it for me. I've got a good year left.
I'm punching out.
I'm retiring. That's just the way it works. So you're left with this. You can't leave me now. I'm almost there. I've almost got the money that I needed or whatever. So, I think it might be an interesting way. What's this story is like you've been able to rely on the real ghost, but all of a sudden that ghost is going away. So do you simulate what the ghost was bringing people in for? Do you get a new ghost, and how far out do you have to plan that to have?
Yes. What I like about this is, and we talked about this on the podcast a lot, is like there are supposedly there are specific ways that ghosts are formed, right? Not everyone who dies is a ghost, obviously. And so I like the angle of, oh no, you're going to go away. We have to make a new ghost. And so it's not just that we have to like kill somebody, which again, on its own is right for lots of fun story stuff, but also like we have to do it in the right way so that this person will become a ghost. So the ways that, we've seen through our very extensive research, that you can become a ghost is like, obviously like something super traumatic happens to you at the point of death, or you are very angry at the point of death, or someone has placed a curse on you at the point of death. Those are really the kind of three main.
That really seems probably the most practical way to go.
It seems like the one with the least blood on your hands for sure. And so I think there's a fun way you can like explore all those or one of those. Like, I think it's, we're in the realm solidly of our dark comedy, which again, like you and I were into. So I think this is where you and I would go. This story is like, oh no, you're going to go. No, please do. Okay. Well, I got to make a new ghost. Okay. So we're going to, whoever comes up here next for our next booking, what's the best way to kill them? or what's the best way to to drive them to their death? Because we want to do it super carefully because we really want them to be a ghost. The benefit here is that if you die, most ghosts are tied to the place where they die. Not all of them, but most of them are. And so if you can kill them in the house while they're in the air, you got to get them in the house. Yes.
This is
and
definitely,
that becomes fun.
This is definitely grounds for dark comedy. I think because then it becomes, I think first, let's pretend this person's not a horrible person. We're talking about the property owner. Although it's hard to say the landlord's not a bad person, but the landlord's not a bad person. And the ghost is going, announces its departure, and the natural instinct is, I can fake it. I can do it. Like, it wasn't that hard. He was rattling the doorknobs. He was shaking the windows. He was like, we can
with technology these days, we can do anything. We can do this, right?
And it goes good for a while, but then a Yelp review gets out. And no, it's all a sham. Someone's onto him. So he's got to get a real ghost, but he's got to kill somebody there. And boy, I think they botch it several times.
Yes.
So then it becomes the murder house,
which in turn, but it's a murder house. But then that also leads to a macabre tourism.
It becomes even more popular.
Something there. I don't know. You got to think really carefully about how they skirt the law enforcement aspect of all of this. But
I think it all goes wrong. Like, I think, you look at, and this is a nice way to bring the study into it and the research into it, like how to make a ghost, and maybe that how to make a ghost is the name of it or something like that. But so first they try the cursing, and they get a gypsy or a witch doctor or a voodoo priestess. I don't know who's best at casting those curses.
Gypsies, although we don't say that word anymore, we say the Romany.
The Romany.
The Romany.
Oh.
They're very effective. Very effective.
Okay. Maybe we bring some over, or bring some around, and but that doesn't go so well. Maybe they're a con artist of their own. Maybe they're not real.
I think absolutely. The person you trust the most.
But then you've just got a dead body on your hand. That's humor in itself. So then you go for probably, the second least cruel was making someone angry, like really, really angry. And you could just rig the whole house to upset somebody. I mean, if you go to, I rented an Airbnb one time, and boy, the pool table had a tear in it. Was I upset? Like, it's not a lot to get someone mad these days. You could stage the whole thing to get them very angry, but no, that didn't take two.
It's funny because you're looking for a 1-star review on your Airbnb, and people get so mad about that stuff, right? So you could try it that way. Yeah, absolutely. That's fun.
But you find out like they're really not that mad about it at all. They're just jerks as people, and they're just
they just love giving people 1-star reviews.
You could explore human nature, the renter, the reviewer. There's a lot of things you could do with a story like this. I think I don't know. Ultimately, I think the owner ends up, just if tragic irony plays out the right way, they end up killing themselves, becoming the ghost at the
100%. Yes, that is the right way.
They have to deal with renters for the rest of their existence, for 100 years, and it's 50 years before they can even scare anybody away because they're not even a poltergeist, or they're completely ineffective at scaring anybody because people are coming for the experience.
Right. Oh my God, that's perfect. Yes. I didn't think of that, but as soon as you said it, that's the direction for sure. Yeah. It is a fun one. It's, Death Becomes Her is a big thing again. Now it's on Broadway and it's doing great.
Really? They turned it into is it a musical? They turned it into
a musical, and it is like slamming on Broadway. It's been getting great reviews. And that movie, folks, you haven't seen Death Becomes Her. It is.
That's a throwback, boy.
It is so good. But they just launched it on Broadway, I think last year, and it's doing great. And so this whole like macabre ghost thing, but dark comedy, and that is a pretty dark comedy. It's very funny, and there are some very dark elements to it. This might be the moment for this story.
Interesting. Well, between what you know about ghosts and my poor renting experience, we may be able to put something together.
Yeah.
But let's ask the viewers: is it a good idea, or is it another of a billion bad ideas? What do you think of the haunted Airbnb ghost replacement story? / murder house / Ben said gypsy, and there'll be repercussions, and
We're working on the tagline, but that's what we got for now. So do you like it? Let us know.
And catch us next week for another episode of A Billion Bad Ideas.